Hi, myself Yutra, UX/UI designer and trainer from WebD School. Today we are going to learn about Adobe XD's interface and components. This is the main interface of XD. Here you can find all your homes add-ons. In this add-ons you can install your plugins, your Lorem with some content, and any UI kit that you wanted. You can install all these plugins using this add-ons. Here you can find the frames of the mobile, iPad and web, and you can custom the size based on the frame size you needed. So that first I'll take the mobile frame, and here you can select the frame of the mobile, either it is iPhone 6 or iPhone 7 or 8 SC. So you can select any frame that you wanted. So here I'm selecting iPhone 11. So you can find the frame here. So this is the main canvas work area of XD, and here if you double tap this name, you would be able to edit this name. So you can edit with whatever name you wanted here, and here you can change the file name by double tapping this. You can get a modal screen, and here you can give any name to the file. So you can save here. So here is the menu section, so where you can find all the main tools of the XD, and this is the home page which redirect to the main interface page, and next is the prototype page. After designing, we can switch to prototype, and where we can give interactions to our design. And next is share option. By creating the link, you can share this file, or else if you want, you can download as .xd file and you can place it in your system. So now let us explore all the tools in the XD. So here is the artboard section. In Figma, we call this as a layer section. Here we can find all the elements that you are designing in this canvas. So first I'm taking a rectangle and drawing it here. So this is the basically move tool which helps to move any shapes or icons, whichever element you want to move from one place to another. You want to change its x-axis or y-axis, you can use this move tool and you can work on this. So okay, let me select this rectangle. So this rectangle basically comes with a stroke by default. If you want, you can add color to this by checking this fill box. So if you uncheck this, you can the color will get closed. So select this and you will be having a color palette here. You can select a gradient, linear gradient or radial gradient or solid color, whichever color you wanted. By moving the slider control up and down, you can pick any color you want, and this is the slider control for reducing and increasing the opacity of the color. So you can check any of the color. If you move the scale like this, you can find the opacity of the color gets lower and higher based on the sliding control. So this is the hex code of the color which you are used here. So you can find a plus symbol here. If you click this, the color gets added here. The color which you used in this interface gets added. So I'm picking another color and I'm adding it, so you can find that color also. So by clicking is that you can add a preset colors to this. So this is the option which helps you to pick color sooner. So this is the color picker tool. So if you have multiple objects like this, if you have multiple rectangles and it has different color, so you need to pick a color of this. You can use this filler and you can just drag and you can select this color and you can change the color. So this filler is used to pick the color and replace the color. So if you want to give gradient, you can select the linear gradient option and you can find the gradient option here. So if you want to rotate this, you can rotate like this manually. You can rotate the angle of the gradient like this. In all 360 degrees, you can rotate the angle of the gradient and the exposure of the gradients here. Yes. Next is border. Border is nothing but the stroke which we give as an outline to that fill. So I'm now just closing the fill and choosing the border, and this border color can be replaced with any color as fill. So you can change the color as you wish. So here is the size or width of the border. So I'm giving it 10. So if you have mentioned this dash, so if you mention some gap, so you can see the difference between the normal border and dashed border here. So these are the corners. So I'm zooming it, you could see that these are the corners. So you can find that. So this is inner stroke, this is center stroke, and this is outer stroke. And this is boxed corner, this is rounded corner, and this is normal dashed line. So by increasing the gap you could see this clearly. So you could see this clearly. So next is blend mode. So blend mode is basically used to edit the image which you are using here. You can just drag and drop the image. So from the desktop, you can drag and drop any image. So I'm dragging and dropping it in XD. So the image I drag and dropped here. So if you want to blend this, so the color burn, multiply, lighten, color dodge, overlay, hard light, difference, hue. And these are the different types of blend modes that is used in for image editing. You could find here, you no need to use Photoshop for even a small image edit. You can use this blend option and blend mode option to edit your image within the XD itself. So now let us see about the corner radius. Corner radius is nothing but to make your edges smoother. So here you could find some blue color, blue with white dots in the corners of the rectangle. So if you click on this and if you just drag with the help of the mouse or a trackpad, you could reduce your corner radius. I mean, you can smoothen your corner radius like this. So if you want to change it manually, you could find here. So if you want, you can give a number like this, or else if you want a specific corners to be in a specific radius, you can mention here. So I'm giving this 40, so you could see the difference between the other corners and this corner. So again I'm giving this 80, so you could see the difference far more better now. You could individually change the corner radius, or you could manually give a single corner radius by switching to this. So you will be having equal corner radius here, and if you want to customize, you can use this mode to customize your corner radius here. So, okay, next is shadows. So shadows is nothing but a small effect that makes your design much elevated. So here we have different types of shadows. So first thing is, so I'm giving you the X position as 10 and Y as 10. If you could see here, so a blurred black color space you could see here. So if I'm clicking this, so I could change the color of the shadow here. So instead of black, I'm using gray so that it might look somewhat natural. So if you want the shadow to be in the opposite direction, you just mention -10 or -10 here, so that you could see the difference. You will be getting the shadows in the opposite direction. So instead of confusing or rotating that rectangle, you can just add a minus to switch the shadows between the corners. So next is object blur and background blur. So if you click on this, so you could see your background gets blurred and the shadows and stroke alone is visible to you. So you can adjust the amount of the blurriness and brightness of that object and opacity of that object here. So you can adjust based on the need you wanted. So next is object blur. Object blur, it blurs the entire object. It gives a glow like effect. So lightning glow like effect it gives you. By using this object blur, you can make this glow effect for your design to look elevated. So you could see the object blur here. So you can make this like. So next is opacity. This opacity is to, the slider control is to reduce the opacity of the entire object. So for example, I'm picking this image and I'm reducing the opacity of the appearance. You could see the difference. So it blurs the entire object. But before that we have seen a opacity, that is the color opacity. So this is only for the color, not for the object. So this is not for color, this is only for the object that you are using. So next is, here you could find the width and height and x and y axis of the particular image or particular rectangle I'm choosing. So you could see that the sub width and height of the rectangle is 253 and 373. You can either manually change this by typing like this, or else you can just use this arrows to drag and drop, or else you can click this lock this aspect ratio, and now if you move you could see both the width and height moves simultaneously. You could scale equally when you lock the aspect ratio. If you unlock it, you could change the width separately, you could change the height separately. So there is no proper scaling when the aspect ratio is unlocked. If you want a proper scaling, you have to lock this width and height, and now you can proceed. So you could see it scales equally. So next is rotation. Rotation, it rotates the object in all 360-degree. So if I want, I'm giving 45-degree, 90-degree, 180-degree. Okay. So next is mirroring. So it mirrors. So with the help of this image, we could see this mirroring. So this is vertical mirroring, and this is horizontal mirroring. Yes. So next shape is circle. Circle or ellipse. So what are all the elements we done in rectangle can also be done in the circle also. It can get filled. We can use the borders. So everything copy pasted same as the rectangle. So you can increase and decrease the stroke width. You can increase and decrease the dash width. You can give shadows to the object. So you can use background blur. So everything that you are practiced for rectangle can be done for ellipse or circle also. So next is line. So you can draw the line by holding the shift so that you could get a straight line. So the line may not get zigzag. So if you want a straight line, you can hold the shift and you can draw it move straight. So basically in a straight line, only we can give the borders, we could not give the fill option. So you can only select the borders and you can give the border width. So I'm giving a circular radius here. If you want, you can maintain sharp radius or curved radius, anything. So next is pen tool. So pen tool, basically it is used to make any graphs or UI elements or UI design elements that you wanted here. So I'm just making a simple wave like pattern here. If you double click the corners, it gives a smooth corners. So you could see the difference before and after this. So initially we get a sharp edged waves. By clicking the corners of the wave, we got a smooth edged waves. So I'm just drawing a wave pattern using the pen tool. Now I no need the sharp edges. So I'm using double tapping my vector and I'm just clicking the corners. So I'm getting a curved corners. So I can change this by having this anchor point. So I could transform my shape with the help of this anchor point. So I can twist and turn based on. So next is text. So by in text you can type. So you could find a typography panel here. Here you could see multiple inbuilt forms in XD. You can use this or else you can install it from web browser and you can open it here. I'm just applying a font Arial and I'm giving the size as 24 and its weight as bold, and here is the character spacing or else kerning. So you can give a character spacing like 10 or 50. So based on the need, you can increase your character spacing. So you could find the difference between previous one and this one. So this is the character spacing. And next is line spacing. Line spacing or leading. So assume that I'm just copy pasting the same word again and again. You could find three lines here. I'm just adjusting this line spacing by 80. You could see the difference between before and after. So next is case adjustment. So you could find uppercase, lowercase, and the first letters will be in uppercase, remaining letters will be in the lowercase. This is power root. So this is underline. In this only first letters will be in the uppercase, remaining letters will be in lowercase. Next is underline. So next is strikeout. So if you don't want, you can just click on that again. It will get closed. So next I'm just drawing the shape again. So you could find the alignment portion here. So this aligns based on the frame. So wherever you want, you can place it using this. So next is artboard. If you click this, you could see the different frames. So we call this as frames in Figma, but here we used to call this as artboards. You can find multiple artboards for iPad, for mobile phones, for watch, for web apps, for everything you could find here. You can just click on this and it gets appeared here. You can use this. So next is zoom tool. So you can just zoom in to work. So you can find a repeat grid option here. This makes our work so easier and simple. Why? Because if you want to make repetitive 100 rectangles or repetitive 100 circles, so pattern like formation, if you want to make a pattern like formation, you can just click the object which you want to get repeated. Just clicking on this repeat grid, it forms a green layer. So this means it applies into repeated grid format. You could see the difference here. I'm just dragging it both horizontally and vertically. You can find the repetition of the grids. So each grid is editable. So each grid is, if you want to change the spacing in between the grids, so you could see the pink color area here. By just dragging this with the help of the mouse, you could adjust the spacing both vertically and horizontally. So like this. So this is the repeat grid format. If you want to place different images here, you can just open this and drag and drop to XD. See, you could see the images here. So like this, you can fill it with images or you can fill it with different colors, whichever you wanted. So now by using alt, I'm taking the duplicate of this rectangle and I'm to differentiate, I'm changing its color to blue. So now I have two rectangles here. So we can intersect this, we can subtract this, we can union this. So with the help of these options, we can do multiple layers here. So first one is addition. So the two rectangles get merged here. See, you could see the two rectangles get merges here as a single one. Now if I'm changing the color, you could see the difference. Both gets merged. So likewise, another rectangle. So by selecting these two rectangles, now I'm see this gets subtracted. In this option, the common area between the two rectangles get joined here. So next, so I'm selecting these two rectangles and I'm giving this. So you could see that the common area between the two rectangles get erased here. So with these things, we can create different types of UI elements. So like this, you can adjust it. This moves like a liquid and you can use it wherever you wanted. You can use this all the design elements. You can use this as a design elements. So next is these are the basic things that we can do in the XD, and these are the overall tool explanation in the XD. Now we can move into the next step of creating a components. So what is meant by component is a reusable UI element. If once it is created, you can use it wherever you want it. You can edit it, you can customize it in the different places of an application or a website that you are creating. So first I'm creating a button. So first let me take a rectangle here. So I'm taking this rectangle. I'm giving a small corner radius to this. I'm removing this border and I'm giving a color to my rectangle. And now I'm taking the text and typing it here as download. So I'm placing it in the center of this rectangle. I'm clicking this text and rectangle. I'm selecting both these things and I'm giving Control G. So what is meant by Control G is it groups the element. So it joins together. It moves together wherever we are moving this. That is called as grouping a component, grouping an component or grouping an element or something. So now here you could find a section called component. So you can find an add button here. By clicking this, you're making this as a component. So you could see a green color frame here. This means this object had become an component. That means its object had become a reusable UI element. So you could find this element, replace this element wherever you want it in your application. So next is, so I'm changing my section here. You could see here, you could find the assets here. So the component which I created is displayed here. So I'm just drag and dropping it here. So you could see, so I'm using it wherever I wanted. Okay, so see here, I'm dragging and dropping and here. So you could use wherever you wanted here. I'm just changing the color of my component as, so I'm just selecting my rectangle and I'm changing the color of my button. So it reflects wherever the button is used. So you could see that it is reflecting wherever I'm using it. Right? This is called as reusable UI element. You can create different states for the same button. So next is I'm creating a state called new state. If you want, you can rename the state as whichever name you wanted. I'm giving this as hover state or state 2 something. Whichever you want, you can give this. So I'm just selecting it state 2. I'm editing it down low. To show the differentiation, I'm just changing the color and the text for the state 2. Now I'm again clicking this add button and I'm creating a new state again. So this is state 3. So in this, I'm again replacing the word. I'm changing the color. So you could see state 2. So state 1. So I'm dragging and dropping this. So you could see here state 2, state 3, the different states. So here the component is still, there is no action is done here. So if you want to give action to this component, you can just click the prototype stage and you can see this. It has shifted to the prototype phase. Now I'm just clicking this. So I'm by clicking this, I'm just giving the as tap. So I'm giving this transition as auto animate. I'm choosing the destination as state 2. So ease in and out. Okay. So next is state 2. So by clicking this, I'm giving state 3. So now let me drag and drop this component here. So I'm just playing. So by clicking this, it changes. By clicking this, it changes. So this is how you have to create a component and give the prototype or reaction, whatever you name it. This is the way you have to give the reaction to your components by clicking this. This is the way to add actions and reactions to your components. This is the way you can add reactions and actions to your components. In the next part, we can create a screen and we can learn more about the prototype part. Thank you.